check out our streaming schedule for this week. We've got tons of content in terms of the NFL and college football, as we're going live just about every single day this week. So make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single moment where we go live. And now, on with our feature presentation. You've seen this exact scenario play out countless times over the course of a game. A team gets penalized for something as the yellow flag comes out. Then, the team that wasn't penalized gets asked what they want to do, and whether they want to accept the penalty or decline the penalty, assuming they're allowed to do that and the play wasn't blown dead beforehand like a false start. Sometimes, the decision is incredibly obvious. If you score a touchdown and the other team gets called for defensive holding, of course you're going to decline the penalty and keep the touchdown. And if you get sacked and lose the football, but prior to the sack, there was illegal contact on the defense, of course you're going to accept the penalty. However, sometimes the decision is more up in the air. If it's 1st and 20, and the other team gets called for an eligible man downfield on a play that got no gain, do you accept the penalty and bring up 1st and 25, or do you decline it and bring up 2nd and 20? If you get the stop on 3rd and 6 at the 32-yard line, but the other team gets called for holding, do you decline it, or do you accept it and bring up 3rd and 16 at the 42? Knowing that you could allow a first down, but also knowing that they might be out of field goal range. Knowing when to accept a penalty and knowing when to decline a penalty is a critical element and an important aspect of being a head coach. And we've seen so many coaches get it wrong and wind up on episodes of dumb decisions as a result, one of which you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner. And if you want to watch some of those episodes and you want to learn more about the history of the NFL, then this is the place for you, because we talk about all things NFL history all the time on this channel with a new video every single day, like this one. So if you like that sort of stuff, then be sure to hit that like button down below, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we post on the channel. Thanks in advance for your support as we try and hit 70,000 subscribers. But what happens when you're never even given the option to accept or decline the penalty? What happens if the referee just assumes that you want one thing, when in actuality, you want the other, and this refereeing incompetence may have just cost you the football game? Well, this man right here is New York Jets head coach Walt Michaels, and the 1980 season did not exactly go according to plan for him and his team. The Jets finished this season with a 4-12 record, never spending a day above 500, and finishing dead last in the AFC East with a bottom 5 defense in football. Things were so bad that the only team worse than the Jets was the New Orleans Saints, who went 1-15. The Saints' lone win, by the way, Week 15 against none other than the New York Jets. And if you want to know just how bad this season was for the Jets, look no further than what happened in Week 4 during a game against the Baltimore Colts, which feels appropriate to bring up, seeing as the two teams are playing each other today if you're watching as of this video getting released. Because in 1980, Walt Michaels and the New York Jets got hosed and screwed over by an overambitious referee who thought that he knew best, and clearly did not. Because this is the story behind the refereeing controversy of the Colts-Jets game that took place nearly 45 years ago. Before I talk about the incident in question, we need some context to understand the importance of the game, as well as how the game itself was going. It's September 28th, 1980. It's Week 4 of the NFL season, and as we're officially at the quarter mark and into autumn, we've got an AFC East battle on our hands over at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, between the Baltimore Colts and the New York Jets, in what is undoubtedly the biggest game ever played between these two franchises. Can't think of any others off the top of my head. For the main team in our story, the Jets, to say that this is a big game would be putting it lightly. They're off to an abysmal start, sitting at the bottom of the AFC and at the bottom of the NFL with an 0-3 record. If you do not win this game, you start 0-4, and you find yourselves 3 back of a playoff spot at the end of September. Your season is already over, especially seeing as no team in NFL history had ever made the playoffs at that point following an 0-4 start, and you're basically dead in the water. Especially seeing as you already lost in Week 1 to the Colts, you really can't afford to get swept by a team projected to be near the bottom of the NFL, because the schedule is only going to get tougher from here. As you can tell from these highlights, this game did not exactly go according to plan for New York. When all was said and done, they were unable to get out of Baltimore with their first win of the season, as they dropped to 0-4, losing it by a final score of 35-21. in a game that they never led at any point. Richard Todd was woefully inefficient at quarterback, going 16 for 36, completing just 44% of his passes while throwing 2 interceptions. Meanwhile, on the other side, Burt Jones threw 3 touchdowns for the Colts and stayed upright the entire game, never getting sacked. New York's defense was atrocious, allowing 447 yards. There is a reason why the Jets finished the 1980 season with the second worst defense in football, and it's games and performances like this one that make it abundantly clear. And seeing as the Colts scored a touchdown in literally every single quarter of the contest, you can't even say that the defense played well at times. Throughout the entirety of the game, the Colts were just having their way with the Jets, outgaining them by more than 100 yards. Baltimore had a solid offense in 1980, don't get me wrong, but this was, by far, their best game of the season from a point standpoint and a yardage standpoint. That's how porous the Jets were defensively on the day. Not that the offense was that much better. And you can point to many reasons, truly many reasons, as to why the Jets lost this game, seeing as, again, they did not play well in the slightest bit, they never led, and never looked as though they were in control of the contest. But there was one moment in particular that needs to be looked at, and it involves what happened in the first quarter as the Jets were trying to keep the pace. The Colts scored an opening drive touchdown, and the Jets were getting the ball back looking to answer. A solid kickoff return by the Jets got them to around the 40-yard line. From there, the Jets were able to march down the field thanks to some nice runs up the middle and some throws to the outside. It was a pretty good balance in terms of the run and the pass, and Baltimore, at least on this drive, didn't have any answers for it. At least, not until the Jets got into the red zone. Because on 3rd and 5, with the ball at the 13-yard line, Richard Todd's pass into the end zone fell incomplete, falling harmlessly to the ground as he was looking to hit his man over the middle of the field. Time to send the field goal unit. Time to bring on kicker Pat Leahy, who you've learned more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner. Obviously, you're disappointed not to walk away with a touchdown on this drive, but a field goal isn't a bad consolation prize this early in the game. You get on the board. And sure enough, Leahy drills the 30-yard field goal to give the Jets some points and make it a 7-3 ball game. However, hold that thought, because there's a penalty on the play. And I'll let Bob Costas and the late great Len Dawson, who you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner, take it from here.
Flag is down on the play. The kick was good, and let's wait and see what the penalty will be.
It looked like the Colts jumped off sides.
You got it, Len? The Jets will decline this, so they are still without a first-half touchdown this year, but they do put 3 points on the board.
Take a look at the yard marker. They may not decline it. It's 4th down and about 5 yards to go. I'm sure that what they want to do is take a look at it.
No, you might be right. Let's see if this gives them the first or puts them close enough.
The Jets say yes.
Scoreboard says 4th and 5. What we don't know if whether or not that is 4th and 4.5 or 4th and 5.5.
Number 72, defense offside. It is a first down. The ball was over 5 yards. It is a first down.
That answers our question. That is a big break for the New York Jets.
That's right. Offside against the Colts. And because it was 4th and 5, and offside is a 5-yard penalty, it's an automatic first down. Move it up 5 yards, wipe the 3 points off the board, and you've still got your chance at 7 to tie it up. The Jets declined the penalty and decided to send the offense back on the field. And one play later, it backfires immediately. The Jets went from having 3 points on the drive to having 0 points, as Richard Todd gets his pass picked off in the end zone by Larry Brazil, who takes it all the way into Jet territory. What a momentum swing. What an unbelievable turn of events. The Jets thought at minimum that they were walking away with something on this drive, and instead, they walked away with nothing. And there was the debate afterwards, especially in 1980, when the game was far more conservative, about whether head coach Walt Michaels made the right call here. You're going to take off the points? This early in the game, you're going to get rid of some points on the board? Sure, you get a first down, but it's high risk, high reward. Yeah, you might tie it up, but there's no guarantee that you're going to be scoring again. This might have been a bad move. And folks, that's where things get incredibly, and I truly mean it, incredibly bizarre. Because when it came to this play right here that you've been watching, Walt Michaels never meant for it to happen and never wanted it to happen. And I'm not talking about the part where Todd got picked off in the end zone because, well, no duh, he didn't want that to happen and didn't plan for that to happen. I mean the part where the Jets offense retook the field. Because, you see, Walt Michaels never wanted to accept the penalty and get a first down. He wanted to take the 3 points and decline it, make it 7-3. But he was never consulted whatsoever by the referee about it. The referee for this game was Fred Wyant, who oddly enough became a referee after Walt Fitzgerald retired, as in the controversial referee I talked about in yesterday's video, which you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner. I swear that was pure coincidence, and sometimes that happens. There was no trail that led me from there to here, as it just happened by complete coincidence, and I wouldn't have even put 2 and 2 together if it wasn't for the fact that Fitzgerald's game and Wyant's game were both games featuring matchups taking place during Week 11 of the 2024 season, with Bills-Chiefs and with Jets-Colts. But regardless, that's neither here nor there. Wyant just assumed that Michaels wanted to take the first down and try for the touchdown, so we never bothered to consult Michaels about it, leaving Michaels absolutely perplexed and livid about the entire thing, seeing as he was being forced into a decision that he didn't want to make. And after the game, oh, you bet that the man of the hour, head coach Walt Michaels, had some choice words about what exactly went down on this play. Said Michaels, "You know me. I never take points off the board. Paul Brown never would, and I saw what happened to George Allen once in the playoffs when he did. Look, I'm not greedy. It was only the first quarter. The field goal changes things. You have plenty of time, and now they're playing against our points. Then the interception threw the whole field position out of whack." You might be asking, why didn't Michaels try and get the ref's attention? If he really didn't want this, why not yell at the ref and let him know? Well, he did, but it was a lost cause. Said Michaels, "I asked one of the other officials to call Wyant over so I could talk to him, but he wouldn't come over. What can I do? If I run out on the field, I get fined." In other words, it was either get penalized and take a financial setback, or live with the call by the referee imposed upon you. Michaels added, "I don't know why the referee did what he did, but I did not want to take the first down, and my captain was not consulted." And if you think this story is already weird enough involving this man right here that you've been watching this whole time, and head coach Walt Michaels, oh, it's about to get a heck of a lot weirder. Because after the game, referee Fred Wyant insisted that he spoke with the Jets special teams captain, Tom Newton, about the call, and that even though Michaels wasn't consulted, Newton was, and he, as the captain, made the decision on the field to accept the penalty. In other words, the referee was saying that his player, by virtue of being a captain, was able to accept the penalty on the field. Almost like how for a coin toss, the coach is consulted whether you want to receive or defer, the captain is asked that question. As Wyant said, then their offense came out on the field, and they ran a play, and nobody said anything. So I don't know what Michaels is talking about. And Nick's explanation would make some sense, and would make this whole ordeal a bizarre but somewhat of a non-story, if it wasn't for the fact that the man that Wyant is referring to was never even on the field. Tom Newton, number 44, the special teams captain, the man that Wyant consulted, yeah, he wasn't even on the field for that play, as he was on the sidelines the entire time. So Wyant didn't talk to Michaels about it, and didn't talk to the special teams captain about it, seeing as the special teams captain wasn't there. So Wyant just made this up completely by himself, and assumed that the Jets wanted to try for 7, instead of leaving it at 3. He either talked to the wrong guy, or he just assumed something. And folks, that was the wrong assumption. That was the wrong freaking assumption. Now, when it came to the scenario in the game between these two teams behind me right here, I would love to know your thoughts in the comments section down below about whether you think Walt Michaels had the right idea and made the right call by deciding to keep the 3 points on the board if the referee listened to him. Would you keep the points? Would you try and go for the touchdown and get more points? It's an interesting decision that coaches face about once a week. It comes up in games about once a week across all 16 games that take place or thereabout. Now, obviously, there are some times where it makes sense to accept the penalty and get the first down, and there are some moments where it makes no sense to do so, like if you kick a game-winning field goal with no time left and the other team gets called for offside. It makes no sense to accept the penalty and retry the kick. But there's an entire gray area like the one in that Jets-Colts game from 1980. So let me know your thoughts down below on whether or not you would have done the same thing that Walt Michaels was thinking of doing during that game. Was this the right call? Was this the wrong call? Obviously, with hindsight bias, it was most definitely not the right call. However, I can't exactly blame Walt Michaels for this, seeing as he was never the one to make the call in the first place. Coaching is already hard enough as it is. The last thing you want is for the game to be made even tougher by referees who assume your intentions and assume that you want one thing when, in actuality, you want the other. If you want pizza for dinner, but your friend orders Chinese for you, and you're upset because your friend assumed that you wanted Chinese but never consulted you, and knowing your prior history, you would always choose pizza over Chinese, then you can absolutely relate to what Walt Michaels was going through here. The Jets maybe could have had 3 more points in 1980, I'll put it that way. While this decision wasn't the sole reason why the Jets lost this game, it definitely didn't help matters. It clearly did not. Because in 1980, when it came to taking the points, the referee definitely didn't understand Walt Michaels' point about points. Be sure to like and subscribe if you have not done so already, as it helps the channel out a lot, and check out my other channels, JG8 for the history of college football, JG7 for the history of baseball, and JG9 News, where we talk about all things happening in the NFL. Join me every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we'll play live NFL trivia for cash prizes. And make sure to join me live, as we're on stream just about every single day. And thanks to all our Patreon members and our YouTube members for helping out the channel. See how you become a member and show your support financially in the description down below.